Hey friends, in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can take an image like this and turn it into something a little more fun and exciting like this. We can achieve this effect in Photoshop in just a few short clicks, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So if you would like to follow along with the images I'm using today, I'm going to leave them in the description box below, so go ahead and download those. Let's get started. So with our first image here, I got this picture of a car that looks pretty cool. The first thing we're going to do is duplicate that image, Command J, and for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to name both of my layers 1 and 2. So now we've got two identical layers stacked on top of each other, and what we're going to do is double click on the first layer, layer 1, and that's going to open our layer style tab. And if you look a little closer, you're going to see advanced blending, and this is where we're going to focus our attention. So on this first layer, we're going to turn off the B and G, the blue and green channels. We're going to hit OK. And then we're going to go down to layer number 2, and the same thing, we're going to double click to open it, except this time we're going to turn off our red channel, the R channel, and hit OK. And now to look at this image, you would think that nothing has changed, but when we start moving around these layers, you're going to see this effect take place. So come back to our first layer, the layer on top, and hit Command T, that's our transform tool. Now if I move this layer around, you're going to see that it moves around the red channel only. So Command Z to reset that. What I want to do is flip this image. So with Command T selected, I'm going to right click and it's going to bring up this menu. And all the way down at the bottom, you're going to see flip horizontal. I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to move this top layer up somewhere like this. And this is where you can get creative with it. You can move it around to your own liking till you find something that fits. And I think something like that looks cool for this image, but let's move on to another image and try these same steps again. So here I have this really cool portrait, and I know that this effect is going to work really well on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is unlock my background layer and then duplicate this layer so I have two of the same layers. And again, I'll just name them 1 and 2 to make this easier to understand. I'm going to double click on 1, and I'm going to turn off the blue and green channels and hit OK. Then I'm going to come down to layer 2, I'm going to double click and turn off the red channel and hit OK. With this image, I'm going to flip it horizontal, and this is going to create a very cool symmetrical effect on this. So Command T, right click, all the way down to flip horizontal, and boom, look at that. That looks awesome. So I really like the colors that are happening in this image, but let's say I wanted to change this teal color to something more like a deep purple or a dark blue kind of color, something a little more moody for this image. I can come down here to this second image, which is our green channel. If I turn it on and off, you'll see that that teal disappears. Let's add an adjustment layer just to this layer by going down here to the adjustment layers and click Hue Saturation. Then let's drag the hue slider closer towards the blues. And I think that looks really, really cool. I'm happy with that. Let's move on to one more example. So here I've got this image of a skateboarder. And again, I'm going to turn off my background layer and duplicate it. I'll name them 1 and 2. And on the top layer, double click, turn off our blue and green and hit OK. And then on our second image, turn off the red channel, hit OK. Now for this one, I'm going to try create a kind of a prism effect. So what I want to do is bring up our transform tool again, Command T. And this time I'm just going to rotate it ever so slightly to the left. Something like that looks cool. I'm going to make it a little bigger. Something around there I think looks really cool. So next, what I'm going to do is paint away parts of the effect that I don't want. So in other words, these kind of, I mean, you can leave them if you want, but just for the sake of this example, I'm going to paint them away. So like this red channel here, you can see like the brickwork. I don't really like it, so I'm just going to erase it. So I'm going to select our layer mask. I'm going to hit B, that brings up our brush. And I'm going to turn down the hardness to about like 20%, 21% is fine. And then I'm going to paint away at the parts that I don't really want. I actually do like that red light streak, so I'm going to leave that there. Again, this is totally personal preference. If you want to leave some of these streaks in, you absolutely could. But I think something like that looks pretty cool. So that's how you can achieve a kind of a glitch effect using this duotone technique. You might have noticed on the portrait at the beginning of this video, it had some tears and scratches, kind of a grungy look. That's a look that I like, an aesthetic that I like. So for this image of the skateboard guy, I'm going to add some grungy textures to this to make it really stand out. So I downloaded a pack from Dan Robinson. I'll leave a link in the description box below. He makes really cool assets that every graphic designer should definitely have in their toolkit. So I'm just going to grab a random one here from this pack. 20 looks fine. And I'm going to size it to fit over this image. Something like that looks okay. Then I'm going to hit return and change the blend mode here to lighten. And let's take a look. Now you can spend more time finessing this. I'm just rushing through to give you guys an example. So what I would probably do is add another layer mask and just kind of brush away parts of this effect that I don't want really affecting my subject all that much. So honestly, even something like that looks okay. I think that looks really cool, but again, you can spend as much time as you want here finessing this and making it look just right for you. If you found this tutorial helpful, go ahead and hit that like button. I will be posting more short Photoshop tutorials like this in the coming weeks, so make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you then. Peace.